Hello and welcome once again to your weekly inspiration with yours truly, Andy Craig. And again, this week's motivation or inspiration is coming from the master motivator himself, Mr. Zig Ziglar. And he had this to say: you can't hit a target you don't see, and you can't see a target you don't have. Once again, you can't hit a target that you don't see, and you can't see a target that you don't have. Some thoughts for you to ponder. Do you know where you're going? Do you have a goal that you're aiming at? Is it written down? Do you have an action plan to achieve it? Make sure you know what your goal is. Write it down. Create a dream board with it and pictures so that you can see what you are creating. When I heard Mr. Ziegler share this recently, in fact, it was earlier today, I've heard this many, many times, but it just kind of struck me today, and I felt I needed to share it. He was talking about, I can't remember the guy's name, but the greatest archer that has lived, Howard Hill, I think is actually the guy's name. It just came back to me, Howard Hill. And this is the greatest archer that ever lived, at least here in the US. He would split arrows one after one after one after. He entered in over 200 different competitions, I think 276 if I remember the number correctly, and he won all of them. He retired because the rest of the archers that would compete with him didn't want to compete for second place. And Zig had this to say, that he could guarantee he could help anyone be a better archer than Howard Hill, provided, of course, that you blindfolded and spun Howard Hill around so they had no idea where the target was. And you go, of course, how in the world can you hit a target that you can't see and that you don't know where it is? And then he says, and takes it one step further, and he says, how can you hit a target that you don't even have? And that's what I wanted to share with you today. Too many of us are wandering around like wandering generalities rather than meaningful specifics. We might have a clue of what it is that we want, but we don't have a laser focused intention of going after it. We don't have a bullseye we're aiming at right now. Bullseye happens to be that goal that you have, what that goal is. You got to have it written down in front of you. Is your goal written down in front of you? That's something I've got to work on diligently. I've got mine written down. I've even got the action plan, but I don't have it in front of me like I need to. Get it written down. Create that action plan. And know what it is that you're going after. And more importantly, know why it is you're going after it. Because it's one thing to have a goal. It's another thing to know why it is that you're going after it. And another thing that I'll share with you is, if you are like 80% of the people out there that set goals, 80% of the people are not goal achievers. Only 20% are goal achievers. 80% of the people out there are problem solvers. And what that means is, when you set a goal, you got to figure out what problem does it solve. So as an example, let's say you've got an income goal. And let's just use round numbers. Let's say you've got an income goal of $10,000. Okay, great. What problem are you solving? And how much money are you earning from solving that problem? And how many of those problems do you need to solve to achieve your $10,000 income? So let's say, for example, that you solve a problem that pays you $1,000. That means you got to solve that problem 10 times for you to earn that $10,000. And that's you achieving that goal. You've achieved that goal by solving 10 problems that pay you $1,000. And when I figured this one out for myself, it literally turned the lights on. I went, oh my goodness gracious, I'm a problem solver. I don't even know how many times I've heard it, but I heard it time and time again. So I figured out I am a problem solver. I've got to figure out what problem I'm solving to achieve the goals that I want to achieve in life. And maybe that's where you are right now. You got to figure out that target that you're going after, that goal that you're trying to achieve, and figure out what problem are you solving. And more importantly is, who wants that problem to be solved? I'm guilty right here. I've got many solutions that are I figured out, but there's solution that's seeking a problem. You got to figure out a problem that people are actually paying for, that people want to have solved. And once you figure out that problem, that you can actually solve it, then you get to go and solve that problem for people, and then they'll pay you for it. So I hope that makes sense here. So go out, find that problem, figure out what it is that you get to solve. That way you've got a target you're going after, you've got a goal that you're reaching after here. And remember, as we wrap things up, you are purposed by God. You are created to succeed. And you, yes, you are destined to win. This is Andy Craig. You have a fantastic rest of your week.